the jewelry box that you're making this cover for, there's two different stitches you can use. You can either use a single crochet if you want a tighter look with less holes. This is when I used single crochet, or you can use double crochets. This is what it'll look like if you use double crochets. Ignore this part over here. Double crochets will be faster to finish, and this is what it'll look like. I'm going to be using a 4.5mm hook for this project, as well as appropriate size yarn. You can find the exact one that I use on my Amazon storefront. The link is in the description box. We're going to start off by making a magic ring, and if you've never done this before, don't worry, I'm going to do it really slowly. So position your yarn like this, wrap it around your finger, making sort of like an X shape over here. Take your hook, slide it under, grab this end, pull it up, and twist like that. Now we're going to do our first chain. So you're going to grab onto this end over here, like that, and pull it through. And then you can let it go, and you're going to have your magic ring in the center. Now we're going to chain one more. I like doing this just so it's easier for me to slip stitch into the chain at the end of our work. And now we're going to be inserting 10 single crochets or 10 double crochets depending on what stitch you decide to use. We're going to insert them into the magic ring. To single crochet, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. And once you've got your 10 stitches, you can pull on the end to make it a little bit tighter. And then you're going to find your chain 2. That's my chain 1, and that's my chain 2 over here. I'm going to insert my hook into that chain 2. And then I'm going to just slip stitch. And to make sure that you went into your chain 2 and not one of your stitches, you can always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the end of round 1. Now to start round 2, you're going to chain 1, and you can pull this tight. And if it helps, you can also mark your chain 1 with a bobby pin so you don't lose track of which this is, because it's quite easy to lose track of it. Now for round 2, we are going to be inserting 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So it's kind of like an increase. Since I'm using single crochets, I'm going to be inserting 2 single crochets in every stitch. So just insert your hook into the stitch and insert 2 of whatever stitch you're using. So if you're using double crochets, it would be 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Go into the next stitch and do the same thing. In that same place, another stitch. So it has to be 2 in every stitch, and at the end of this round, you would have a total of 20 stitches. Once you've got 20 stitches, you're going to end the round by slip stitching into your chain 1. This is how we end all of our rounds. And then to start a new round, you're going to chain 1 again and then mark it. And now for our third round, we're going to be repeating a pattern all around our circle. So the pattern is going to be 1 stitch and then 2 in the same stitch. So it's going to be 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And you're going to repeat this all around the circle. So 1 and then 2. Once you've got 30 stitches in the round, you're going to be ending the round by slip stitching into the chain 1, just like before. And now you can customize the size of this to make it however big you want it to be. So you can do more rounds than me or less rounds than me depending on the size of your jewelry box. But the way that the rounds are going to work is that the number of 1 stitch that you do before your increase, and increase is when there are 2 stitches, it's going to add 1 more. So for example, now that we're going to be doing the 4th round, our pattern is going to be 1, 1, 2. When we do the 5th round, the pattern is going to be 1, 1, 1, 2. And then 6th round, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. And you repeat this all around. You always end your round with a slip stitch, and you always start your round with a chain 1. Don't forget to mark it. It can get confusing, especially if you're using single crochets. With double crochets, it's not that hard. And now we're going to be starting our pattern. So since we're on the 4th round, it's going to be 1, 1, And then in the next stitch, we're going to do an increase, which is 2 stitches in the same stitch. And then you basically repeat this pattern all around. Now keep following the patterns for the round. I have the written patterns up on my blog, link is in the description box. This is just to make it easier for you guys to change the size however you want it to be. And keep doing rounds until your piece comes slightly till over here. So leave a little bit of an edge, but make it the size of the top of your jewelry box. I'm doing my 5th round, and the pattern I'm following is 1, 1, 1, and then I'm going to do an increase, which is 2 stitches in the same stitch. And if your work is curling like this, that's completely fine. When you put it on your jewelry box, it's going to flatten itself out by itself, so don't worry if it's curling or if it's curving. Just keep doing the rounds. I'm currently doing my 6th round, and the pattern is 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2 in the same stitch. Well, in the next stitch you put 2. Hopefully this part isn't as confusing. It's kind of easy to get the hang of as you keep doing the rounds. In the last round that you do before you start this part over here, you're just going to be inserting 1 stitch into every stitch, so no increases. You're just going to go around just doing 1 single crochet in every stitch, no increases, no pattern, just 1 in every stitch all the way around. Once you're done with your last round, you're just going to end it like normal, and then we're going to start making the sides of the jewelry cover. So just slip stitch into your chain 1 like you've been doing previously. Start the next round with your chain 1 and mark it. So same steps as before, but now we're going to do something a bit different to make our jewelry box cover a little bit neater, to get this nice little edge over here, and to make this part of your cover face downwards. We're going to be working only into the back loops of our stitches. So this is the front loop and that's the back loop. So you're going to go into the back loop only, so just this one over here, like that, and you're going to insert your stitch like normal. And you're going to see it stretch out a little bit, but don't worry, it goes back to normal. And now our pattern is going to be 1, 1, 1, and then we're going to do a decrease over here. So I'm going to show you. So 1, and then we're going to do 1. Well, depending on the size of your jewelry box, you might have to customize the pattern to make it appropriate to your cover. So for example, this is the part where you start doing decreases to make it tighter so that it stays on. But if you have a slightly larger cover, then instead of doing 1, 1, 1 decrease, maybe you should do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 decrease, depending on how big your jewelry cover is. Because if you do too many decreases together, then it might pull in too much and not give you a proper shape. So it's important for you to try different patterns and try to figure out which way works best for your jewelry cover. So for me, if you did 6 rounds, 6 or 5, 6 or 7 rounds like me, then I think this pattern should be fine for you for the first round of the sides. So I did 3, and now over here we're going to do a decrease. To decrease, you're going to insert your hook into just the back loops, pull up a loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. And that is how you decrease, how I like to decrease. Now we're just going to repeat this pattern all around. So 1, 1, 1, and now we're going to do a decrease. So go in, pull up, go into the next one, pull up, and pull it through. Almost immediately, you're going to start to see your work start going downwards and pull inwards to give the shape and to become a little bit tighter. If you think it's becoming too tight, just increase the number of single crochets you do before you do a decrease. Once you're done, you can just slip stitch into your chain 1, start a new round by chaining 1 and then marking it, And same steps as before. As you keep doing the rounds, just see if you need to do more decreases, and just manipulate the pattern, customize it to fit your jewelry box. And if it's curving up like this, remember, don't be worried, it's going to stretch out once you put it on. Please make sure that the sides are tight. So what I'm going to do in the next round is I'm going to do even more decreases, because right now this part isn't as tight as I want it to be, so it's not going to stay on. So I'm probably going to do 1 1 decrease, 1 1 decrease, and that's how I'm going to keep doing the pattern for a few more rounds. Now in the next few rounds, you don't have to work only into the back loops. After your first round of the side of the jewelry cover, you can just regularly work into the stitches afterwards. You don't have to work only into the back loops. And that's it. Now just keep doing the rounds, add decreases where you feel like you need them, and that's it until you're done with the first half of your jewelry cover. Remember, you don't have to have an exact pattern. You can just freehand this. You can add decreases wherever you think you want to make it tighter. It's completely up to you. There's no set pattern for this, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. As long as your piece is becoming tight and can stay on your jewelry cover, you'll be good to go. Once you're done, this is how you should be able to slide your cake cover on. Just make sure that you pull it down and leave some space to open your jewelry box. But if you have one without a zipper, you could probably make it till where it opens. And once you're done with this, you're going to be repeating the same steps to make the bottom piece. I'm just going to show you how to end this really quickly. This is also a pretty good method to make a jewelry tray if that's what you want to make. It works for pretty much everything. When you're ready to end your work, you're just going to slip stitch it into the chain one. So right over here, just slip stitch, and then you can fasten off. I'm just going to slip stitch into the next stitch as well, just to make it extra secure. And then I'm going to chain 2, get my scissor, cut, pull, and tighten. Now I'm going to show you how to add this frosting trim edge to the sides of your jewelry cover. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to be attaching the frosting to these loops over here. And you can do this at the top and at the bottom, so you can have frosting on both sides. And you're going to start by taking your hook and attaching it wherever you'd like to. So just insert your hook through those loops over there. Make a little loop with the yarn color that you want to use and slide it through. And now chain 1. And then just tighten this over here. Depending on the size of your jewelry cover, you might need to change the stitches or the number of stitches. This is called a popcorn stitch, and I'm kind of confused on how to explain it, but let me show you what we're gonna do. You're basically going to be inserting 1 popcorn stitch into each of these loops, and then you're gonna slip stitch, popcorn stitch, slip stitch, popcorn stitch. And the way that I'm gonna do my popcorn stitch is with a triple crochet. So if you have a jewelry cover, a jewelry box that's kind of sort of the same size as mine, then you can follow the way that I'm doing. So for my triple crochet popcorn stitch, I'm going to yarn over 2 times, insert my hook into the loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So just like a regular triple crochet, but I'm not going to complete it at the end. Instead, I'm going to insert another triple crochet by yarning over twice, inserting my hook into that same loop, pulling up a loop, then I yarn over 2, yarn over, pull through 2, but I don't complete the triple crochet. I'm going to be inserting a total of 5 triple crochets into the loop with this method, and then I'm gonna pull through all. So do not complete the triple crochet, instead yarn over 2 times and insert your hook into the loop. And you might need to stretch out your work a little bit for this, and then you can count. So I've got, this is my chain 1, it's not a triple crochet. I've got 1 2 3 4. I'm gonna do 1 more, insert my hook, pull up a loop, Okay, now I've got 5 triple crochets in my little popcorn stitch. Once you've got 5, you can just yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to complete your popcorn stitch. And then you're gonna go into the next loop, which is over here. Actually, I'm gonna go here. So you can always skip if you want your popcorn stitch to come like that, wherever you want it to sit. So I want it to come over here. And then you're just gonna, hopefully this is clear, you're just gonna slip stitch it like that. And that is how your popcorn stitch is basically gonna attach itself onto your cake. Now, let's say that this is too big and you don't like the size and you wanna make something a little bit smaller, then you can do the same technique with double crochets, and you can also change the number of stitches that you insert into the popcorn stitch. So I'm gonna show you how to do a popcorn stitch with 4 double crochets. So you can yarn over, insert your hook into the next loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Because this is a double crochet, that's where you stop. And then you do this again, yarn over, insert hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, but do not complete the double crochet. Let's do it again. So right now I've got 3 double crochets and I wanted to do 4, so I'm going to insert 1 more. So a popcorn stitch is basically an incomplete stitch. And then once I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, I can yarn over, pull through all the loops on my hook, and then slip stitch into the next loop to attach it back onto my cake. And there you go. So that is what a bigger frosting would look like with 5 triple crochets, and that's what a smaller frosting would look like with 4 double crochets. And now you can experiment with different stitches. You can experiment with different number of stitches. Find the one that you like, and then you just continue this all the way around on the top and at the bottom. Once you're done, just slip stitch back onto the cake, and then you can fasten off. So you can just chain 1, chain 2, adjust your pieces, get your scissor, cut, pull, and tighten, and then you can tuck the end in. So you can just push this into the frosting. What we're gonna do next is make a little frosting base over here and then some more frosting on the side, and then I'm gonna be putting a strawberry on top. Once you've learned how to make these, like how to make the circle shape and how to do the popcorn stitches, you can customize this to however you want it to look like. So what you're gonna do now is just make the base. So follow the same steps that you did for this, but stop doing the rounds whenever you think it's big enough. So I'm gonna stop here, and now I'm gonna be doing some popcorn stitches on the side for the frosting. Now we're just going to be working some popcorn stitches around the edge, so we have those frosting shapes on the side. And again, to do the popcorn stitch, just start where you ended your round and then make the popcorn stitch. I'm going to be using double crochets. So if you want to do double crochet popcorn stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, but then don't complete the double crochet. Yarn over, go in. And you can do this as many times as you want. The more times you do it, the thicker your popcorn stitch will become. So yarn over, pull through 2, but don't complete the double crochet. Instead, just keep going in. If you use triple crochets, then your frosting will be a little bit wider. So I'm gonna do this 4 times. And then once I've got 4 double crochets, once I've got 4 double crochets, I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook. And then in the next stitch, you're going to slip stitch to end your popcorn stitch. And it's going to end up looking something like this, but then you have to push it out to make the stitches sort of come up and give you that frosting look. So like that. And now you just do this all the way around. Once you're done going all the way around, you can just fasten off your work. And the way that I'm going to do this is I'm just going to chain 2 and I'm going to cut. I didn't do anything different. So after I slip stitched to end my popcorn stitch, I'm just going to fasten it off. Just by adding more rounds, you can change the size and you can change the shape of the popcorn stitch, how big or small it is. Next, we're going to start by making the strawberry. We're going to begin by making a magic ring. And then you're going to chain 2. Then we're going to insert 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Once you've got 6 single crochets, we're going to start by working into the first stitch to begin our second round. So we're going to be working in continuous rounds. We're not going to be doing slip stitches like we were in our previous circles because we're going to be making a strawberry. So what you're going to do is just get your bobby pin, find the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's our first one, and these are our chains that have gotten kind of messed up. So you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch, the first single crochet that you made, and then you're going to insert another single crochet in it. This is your first single crochet of the second round, and then take your bobby pin and just mark it. So always mark the first single crochets of every round, and then just pull this really tight like that. And now the pattern is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase, and you're going to repeat this pattern 3 times to get a total of 9 stitches. So we did 1 single crochet, and in the next stitch we have to do an increase. An increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So 1 and 2. Make sure your stitches are tight, otherwise your strawberry might have holes in it. And then we're going to repeat the pattern, so it's going to be 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch, which is an increase, and you're going to do this until you come back to where your bobby pin is. So I'm doing my last increase before the round ends over here. So I'm working into my last stitch of the round, and once that's done, we're going to start the next round. So remove your bobby pin, and in that stitch you're going to begin your third round. So you're just going to go into it. Oops. Just go into the stitch, make your single crochet, and then get your bobby pin. Don't forget the step and mark it. Now in the next round it's going to be 1 1 increase, so 2 single crochets and then you do an increase. So I did 1. In the next stitch I'm going to do 1, and then I'm going to do an increase. I accidentally went into the same stitch, but so 1 single crochet, in the next stitch another single crochet, and then in the next stitch an increase, and that is our pattern for this round. One, 2 in the same stitch, and then if you want you can just fold this a little bit outward so you can see the stitches better. Just work a little bit more easily. Once you've reached where your bobby pin is, so I just removed it. This was the stitch where my next round starts. So I'm going to insert 1 single crochet there and then mark it with a bobby pin just like before. And remember, this counts as your first stitch of the round, and the pattern is 3 single crochets then an increase. So this is 1, then you're going to do 1 here. So 1 2 3, and then you do an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So hopefully you guys can see the pattern is very similar to what we've been doing to increase the size of all the other circular things. The only difference is that you're working in continuous rounds. So instead of doing a slip stitch, you're doing a single crochet and then marking it with a bobby pin. And now we're going to be doing our, not sure what round we're on, 1 2 3 4. We're going to be doing our 5th round, I think. So we're going to do 1. So we're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. So 1 2 3 4, and then an increase. And you're just going to do this all the way around. So I like the size of my strawberry right now, and I don't want it to get any wider. So in the next 2 rounds, I'm just going to be inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch without any increases. But if you want your strawberry to get a little bit wider, you can continue doing the rounds with increases. So for example, in the 6th round, you would do 5 single crochets and then an increase. And in the 7th round, you would do 6 single crochets and then an increase. But if you like the size that your strawberry is right now, then for the next 2 rounds, you're just going to be inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch. But please don't forget to keep on marking the first stitch of your round so you don't lose track. And that's how you can customize the size of your strawberry. So just one single crochet in each stitch for 2 rounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be placing the strawberry upside down like that, and I'm going to be making the leaves. So there's going to be leaves there at the bottom, and the strawberry is just going to be placed upside down. So because it's way too big, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove 1 round of increases and then just do a regular round with no increases instead. So this is the way that you can sort of customize your strawberry. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the leaf for the strawberry. To do this, we're going to start again with a magic ring, and you're going to chain 2. So very similar steps for everything, and if you're a beginner, then this is a really good project to learn how to customize things to get your own sizes and everything. And once again, you can customize this leaf part to your liking. I'm going to start by inserting 6 single crochets into the magic ring, and the number of single crochets that you insert will determine how many leaves you make, so the things that go out. So if you insert 6 single crochets, you're going to be able to make 6 leaves. So if you want more or less, just insert the number of single crochets that you want. Once that's done, you're just going to pull it tighter, and we're going to start by making the leaves directly. So don't slip stitch, you don't have to do anything. Starting from your 6th single crochet, you're going to be chaining 4. Now these are the leaf things. Another customization you can do here is change how long your leaves are. So I'm going to be chaining 4, but if you want something that's longer, chain more. If you want something that's smaller, chain less. You're always going to be skipping the first chain and working into these 3 chains over here. So skip that first one, go into the second one from your hook, insert a single crochet, and insert a single crochet into the next 2 chains as well. If you want a leaf part that's a bit thinner, do slip stitches instead of single crochets. If you want something that's a little bit wider, you can do half double crochets or double crochets. And now we're going to be connecting the leaf onto the circle part. So you're going to do this by going to your first stitch. Ignore the chains, go into your first stitch, your first single crochet that you made, and just slip stitch. After your slip stitch, you're going to start the next leaf. So once again, chain 4 and repeat the steps. So then you single crochet into the 3 chains. You always skip the one that's right next to your hook. And once you're done with your leaf shape, you can slip stitch back onto this. So you always slip stitch into the next stitch. This is the one we just worked into. So you're always going to slip stitch into the next one. And then directly after your slip stitch, you can start your next leaf. I feel like this is a part where people can get confused. So over here, it seems like it's over. So you might get confused as to why you only have 5 leaf things when you wanted to do 6. And that's because you can make 1 more leaf over here and then slip stitch here to end it. And that's how you get 6, or the number that you want. So don't forget to do it over here as well. Fasten off now however you like, and you can weave in the ends later. I'm just gonna cut a little bit of a longer string, so if I want to tie it onto my piece, I can do that easily, and there you go. I like attaching my pieces onto each other is just using my hook to slide the ends through, pull it through, and then I do the same with the other end. So I'm going to do the same with this one over here. Just find a space you think is good and then pull it through. And then once you've got both of them, you can just tighten it, adjust it how you want it to be. And then once you're done, once you like how it is, you just go to the back and you tie a knot. So what I'm going to do next might be a little bit confusing, but we're basically going to be attaching the strawberry onto the green leaf part. So what I did for my strawberry is I did rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 with increases, just like how I showed you, and then round 5 is just 1 single crochet in each stitch. I like the shape and size that this gave me, so customize yours to however you like it. And now we're going to be attaching it here. So before you end your work, So I'm at the end of my round. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slip stitch to end this. And now I'm gonna be fastening off and attaching this to a plastic needle so I can basically sew it on. And I'm gonna show you how to do this. So let's fasten off first. 1, 2, and I'm just gonna pull and tighten. I'm gonna make sure I cut quite a bit, so you might not need so much, but it's better to be safe than, you know, have not enough, if that makes sense. Oh, and then pull all of it, pull to fasten off, and then tighten it. And now we're gonna start by attaching our thread to the plastic needle. I'm not going to show you every single piece that I attach and how I attach it, but this is going to be, it's going to be very similar method or almost the same method as this. So now I'm just going to see how I want my strawberry to sit, and I'm going to be attaching these stitches to this part over here through. Okay, that is our first piece attached, and then I'm going to come up. And I'm going to see which stitch basically lines up. And I'm just going to go up. And don't forget that you also need to add your stuffing, and I'm going to do that once I've got a little bit of space here, then I'm going to stuff it in. And that's basically it. This is how you're just going to sew your piece on. And then using the technique that I showed you where I pulled these two ends through the white piece, that's how I'm going to attach everything all together. Got a little bit of space left, which I'm going to be stuffing my strawberry in, and I'm using regular stuffing from an old pillow that I have. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to go out and buy stuffing. Just get a pillow that you already have and take some stuffing from there. Next, we're going to do sort of this like frosting on the side. So just take the yarn that you want to use. You can also turn this into chain frosting, so you can make a slip knot, you could chain, and then you could make this, but I like how it looks when it's thin. So I'm just going to see how much yarn I need by just positioning this around. And then I'm going to be attaching these with sort of a different kind of method. Instead of just sewing these on, I'm going to be making these weird like circular round shapes. They're really, really random. I'm going to show you how I do it. And then I'm going to be using these to basically hold the green in place. I like doing this with a magic ring and a chain 2. And of course you can do this any way you like. And then I'm going to insert 2 single crochets into the magic ring. You could do 3 as well. It's completely up to you. And then I'm just going to pull the magic ring a little bit tighter, and I'm gonna, to give it that like circle shape, I'm just gonna go into the magic ring again, and I'm just gonna slip stitch like that, and then I'm gonna chain 2. I'm gonna get my scissor, cut. I make sure to leave some ends so I can weave it in later. So I can use those ends to basically tie everything in place. You can just take your weird little rose shape, and we're going to be pulling it through. So get your hook and insert it through. Sorry if my voice sounds weird. I don't know why, but I got sort of a sore throat last night. I've just had a weird voice all day. And then you're going to slide it. Hopefully this makes sense. You're going to slide it through to pull this, to basically attach it in place over there. And then you're going to take this and make sure that this is under. And I'm gonna pull this through. It's gonna tighten, and this is what's gonna basically hold your green frosting in place, so you don't have to sew it on. So I'm just gonna do this every like 3 frosting pieces, and that's it. I forgot to show you what I'm doing at the back, which is just tying a knot to secure everything. It's super duper tight. And yeah, there you go. I'm showing you how to make a cute little frog, and again, the size is completely customizable. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. I am not going to be closing up the bottom of the frog, and I'm going to show you why later on. But we're basically going to start off by making a magic ring, and then you're going to chain 2. And now I'm going to be inserting 5 single crochets into my magic ring. If you want a slightly larger frog, then maybe you could do 6 or 8 single crochets. I'm going to do 5. And get your bobby pin with you. Once you've got the number of single crochets that you want, you're going to be working into the very first single crochet that you made in the beginning. Okay, so you're going to go into that very first single crochet and you're going to insert your first single crochet of the second round, and then you're going to mark it. And now in the second round, we have to insert 2 single crochets in every stitch, including the one that you just started with. So just 2 single crochets in every stitch. Once you reach your bobby pin, that means it's time to start your third round. This is very, very similar to all the other circles you've been making before. The only difference is that we're going to be giving it sort of like a stuffed toy shape. So in that very first single crochet of your next round, you're going to insert a single crochet, mark it with a bobby pin, and our pattern is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So 1 single crochet and then an increase, and you're going to do this until you come back to your bobby pin. And now you've basically got the top of the frog, and now we're going to be making the body over here. Now the number of rounds is completely up to you. If you want to make this part a little bit bigger, please follow the same steps for the rounds that we did over here, and your shape is going to get bigger. But if you're ready to start like this bottom part of the body, then all you have to do is insert 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get the size that you want. But please don't forget to keep on marking your rounds. So I'm going to be doing 3 more rounds to get the size of the body that I want, and it's just 1 single crochet in each stitch, and go ahead and do however many rounds you would like. Before finishing up my frog with a few more rounds, I always like to attach the eyes and all the other pieces that I want, because it's easier for me to tie knots. So for example, for the eye, I'm just going to pull this end through a stitch, I'm going to pull this end through a stitch, and I'm going to tie a knot. So at this point, it's just easier for me to do all these things, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Started by making a slip knot, and then you're going to chain. So of course, this is according to the size of your frog. So my frog is pretty small, so I'm just going to chain 3. Make sure your slip knot is nice and tight, not too loose. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip the first chain, go into the second chain, and insert a single crochet. I'm sorry if I'm going a bit fast. I know that this video is going to be extremely long, and I just want to shorten it up. And now we're going to insert a single crochet in the next chain as well. And I like doing things in kind of a haphazard way, so I'm just going to chain 1. I'm going to turn my work, and because I don't want the size to get any bigger, I'm just going to go, so that's the stitch we just made. That's our first stitch that we put into that first chain. You're going to go into that, and you're just going to slip stitch, and that's basically it. Then I'm just going to fasten off by chaining 2, pull and tighten. That's kind of like the shape that you get with this, and then you just like slide it on. After sewing on the eyes, to attach this to the frog, I used the same technique that we used for these roses. I just pulled the ends through and then I tied a knot. So I'm using a plastic needle and black yarn. The way that I like to do it is I'm just gonna go up, so I do it in a really haphazard kind of way, as with most things, and then just hope for the best. So then I go through, and right now he looks a little bit weird, but just trust me on this. And then we're gonna bring this down, and the way that I like to do it, sorry, just stretch out, get a little bit loose, and then I'm gonna, I don't know how to show you this, but I'm just gonna come back up in a space that's closed. I want it to come down like this, so I'm gonna come up from here, let's say, right there. Oh, just want the center, because I don't want his smiley face to be a bit lopsided like that. So come up, oops, and then bring this down. So you're gonna take this and you're gonna go to the same place you just came in from, go into it. Sorry, and then you pull. And that should give you like a cute little like happy face like that. I'm just gonna go up and then go back in and then tie a knot and then just pull it up a little bit to make it loose, and that's all. Once you're done with the number of rounds that you want, you're just going to fasten off. So in the next stitch where my next round would start, instead of doing a single crochet, I'm just going to slip stitch to end my work, and then you can fasten off by chaining 2. But when you're cutting, please make sure to leave a really long end so that we can sew it onto our cake later. Pull and just tighten. The very
very last step is to just attach your pieces on, and so take the end that you had left and attach it to your plastic needle and position your pieces where you want them, hold on to it, and then you're just going to sew this on. So what I like to do is, I don't know if you can tell, I'm going to go into the stitch and then onto the cake and pull to attach it, well, onto my cake like that. And the way that this works is you just go, okay, so I'm going to come back up now, so hold on to it where I would want it to be, over here, just grab onto the stitch, pull, tighten, go into the next one. Make sure you're positioning as you go, that you like the place that it's going to end up being in, and then you just pull. And you do this all around until it's back over here. Then you can tie a knot at the back, and then you're all done.
Pocky Ceramics is by Camille, who makes all her ceramics at home by hand from start to finish. Each piece is unique, made in very low quantities, and full of perfect imperfections. Her romantic pieces are made with high-quality stoneware, and they are little treasures that will last forever in your home. In the next part of the video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this adorable water lily inspired coaster. The size is completely customizable, so you can make this as big or as small as you want. I'm going to be using yarn that's appropriate for a 4.5mm hook for both the flower and the coaster. We're going to start off by making a magic ring, and if you've never made a magic ring before, don't worry, I'm going to make it super simple for you guys. You start off by holding your yarn like this, and then you wrap it across your fingers, making sort of like an X shape over here. Then you're going to slide your hook through, grab onto this end over here, pull it up and twist it like that. And then you're going to grab this end over here and you're going to pull it through the loop on your hook like that. And that is your first chain, and over here is your magic ring. Now please pay attention to how I'm holding the magic ring, as it'll help you keep everything secure. So I'm going to hold on to the chain over here. I'm going to do one more chain. That'll give you a total of 2 chains. And now we're going to be inserting 10 double crochets into the magic ring. To double crochet, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is your double crochet. So go ahead and insert 10 double crochets into the magic ring. Once you've got 10 double crochets inside your magic ring, you can take this end over here, pull it to make your ring a little bit tighter. And now we're going to be ending this round by slip stitching into the top of the chain 2. So first you have to identify which is your chain 2. My chain 1, and that is the chain 2, and it will help if you can count your stitches. So since we did 10 double crochets in the magic ring, you can count from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From here to here, you've got 10 stitches. That means that this must be your chain 2. In case you're confused, in case you can't identify which one is the chain 2, that's how you can find out. You're just going to insert your hook into the top, into just one loop of the chain. It gives a neater effect, and then you're going to slip stitch like that. And this is how you're going to end all of the rounds. So our coaster is made in rounds, and whenever you want to end a round, you're just going to slip stitch at the top of the chain 2. I'm going to pull the ring even tighter, and you can stretch this out. Now whenever you want to start a new round, you're always going to start it by chaining 2. This is the chain 2 that we worked into, so our first stitch starts from here. Now in the next round, we are going to be inserting 2 double crochets in every single stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, and insert a double crochet. And then again in that same stitch, insert another double crochet. So in every stitch, you're going to be inserting 2 double crochets. At the end of this round, you'll have a total of 20 stitches. Once you have a total of 20 stitches, starting from here, since this is your chain 1 and that's your chain 2, starting from here till all the way here, once you have 20 stitches, it's time to end the round. And to do this, you're going to go into your chain 2, just one of the loops, so right over here. And you're going to slip stitch like that, and then you can stretch your stitches out so that the coaster doesn't pull inwards like that, so make sure to stretch. And this little stitch over here is your slip stitch, so that's why please make sure that your slip stitches are tight so you don't have a gap like that. But it kind of disappears by itself after a little bit, so it's okay if you do have sort of a gap. We're going to start the next round with a chain 2. And now the pattern is going to be 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1 double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. That same stitch, another one. And you're going to repeat this pattern all around the round, and at the end of this round you're going to have a total of 30 stitches. Once you have a total of 30 stitches starting from here till here, we're going to end the round and then start our next one. If your work is curling like this, all you have to do is lay it flat and then stretch out your stitches. Stretch them out, and it's going to go back down like that. So don't worry about it, it's completely normal, but it's going to stay flat if you stretch out the stitches. Since they become so tight, it starts going up. We're going to end the round by slip stitching at the top of the chain 2. And in the next round, we're going to start it by chaining 2, and now our pattern is going to be 1, 1, 2. So 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch it's going to be 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So as our rounds keep going, we're going to be adding 1 double crochet before the 2. So before, in the previous round, it was 1, 2, and now the pattern is 1, 1, 2, and in the next round it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 2. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to be doing a total of 4 rounds before I start making this edge over here. So I've done my 4 rounds, and now I'm going to be making this edge right over here. So you can put your mug on the coaster, and if you feel like you still need to do more rounds to make this bigger before you do this edge over here, then you can keep doing rounds. In every round, the total stitch count is going to increase by 10, and you're just going to have to do one more number of single double crochet before you do an increase. So for example, in the next round, you would do 1, 1, 1, 2, and in the round after that, you would do 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. And I've put this up on my blog as the written patterns, and the link is in the description box for a few more rounds. If you're still confused, you can go and follow that. But if you're ready to start this curved edge of the lily pad, then all you have to do is not end this round, not end the round, whatever number of rounds you're on. Instead, just turn your work, insert your hook into that very first stitch over here, without chaining 1, without doing anything. Just go back into that stitch and single crochet. If you want a border that's slightly larger than a single crochet, you can do a double crochet, but I just wanted a really small round for the last piece because the size of my mug fits really nicely and I didn't want it to get any bigger. But if you do want this part to be a bit bigger, then keep using double crochets. It's the same steps. And now you're basically going to do what you would regularly do for a round, but you're going to go all the way back over here. So since I'm doing my 5th round now, I'm going to follow the steps for the 5th round, which is 1, 1, 1, and then 2 in the same stitch. And that is how you keep going. I'm just gonna do this all the way until I come back over here. This is what you should have at the end of the round. I started from here and brought it all the way back over here. I just did 1 single crochet just to give it that straight edge over here. And now we're going to be ending our work, and the way that I like to do this is with a slip stitch. So I'm just gonna slip stitch over here, just that little loop. There's no specific place where you have to slip stitch, just find whatever is close and pull it through. Sorry, was that not clear? And once you're ready, you can fasten off your work. So that's what it should look like, sorry. And now to fasten off our work, you're just gonna chain 1. You can chain 1 or 2. I'm just gonna chain 2 to make it extra secure. Scissor and cut, pull, and then tighten. There's many different ways to fasten off. This is how I like to do it. And then once it's complete, you can just weave this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back, and I'm going to, with my hook, I'm just going to weave this in. Look, I've just pulled this through the back loops of the back of my coaster. I'm just pulling it through with my hook like this, just to make it disappear into the back, and then I will have my coaster in the front. Again, don't forget to stretch it out. Maybe put your coaster under something heavy so it can flatten itself out. Next, I'm going to show you how to make these cute little flowers. You can add pearls in the center. Once again, we're going to start off with a magic ring, and again, the size is completely customizable. It might be a bit tricky to understand, but basically, depending on the size of hook or yarn you're using, you might want to make your flower either bigger or smaller than mine. So mine is approximately this size compared to my finger. If you want to make a flower that is bigger from the center over here, then there's two different ways you can do it. The first way is if you want a bigger center part. So for example, if you want this part over here to be a little bit bigger, you can either use a bigger stitch. So for example, you can use a half double crochet or a double crochet for the starting instead of a single crochet, which is what I'll be using. Once you've got your magic ring, you're just going to chain one more. So you've got 2 chains, and now you're going to be inserting whatever stitch you want to use inside the magic ring. I'm going to be using single crochets, and I want 6 petals for my flowers. So I'm going to be inserting 6 single crochets into the magic ring. If you want more than 6 petals, then insert more than 6 stitches. If you want 8 petals, insert 8 stitches, and so on. If you want the center to be bigger, instead of single crochets, you can do half double crochets, or you can do double crochets. And that is how you basically customize the size of a flower to make it your own. Once you've got the number of stitches that you want, you're just going to pull this a little bit tighter. And then you're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 over here. So count your stitches. If you wanted 6 petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that means this is the chain 2. And you're just going to insert your hook into one of the loops, and then you're going to slip stitch like that, and then you can pull this really, really tight like that. And now we're going to start by making the petals. For the petal, we're going to chain. So I want a nice small little petal like this, so I'm going to chain 3. But if you want your petals to be a little bit longer, then you can chain more than 3. If you chain more than 3, your petals are going to be longer. You can do 4, 5, 6, whatever you want, whatever size you want. It's completely up to you. Now, to give that petal shape, we're going to be inserting our stitches into the chains. So you're always going to skip the first chain, and you're going to start working from the second chain, and this is going to be a bit tricky. So just insert your hook into the second chain from your hook, and now you're going to slip stitch. So pull this, and this is the tricky part. Just hold on to your hook, twist, and pull it through. Now there's another way to customize this. If you want your petals to be a little bit wider, instead of inserting a slip stitch into the chain, you can insert a single crochet or a half double crochet. And if you're still confused about this, my star granny square tutorial kind of explains it and how the points of the stars are made. So you might want to check that out if you want to make your petals a little bit wider. And now you're going to go into your next chain and also insert a slip stitch. And that is how you make your cute little petal. And now to end this petal, you are going to be slip stitching into your next stitch. So over here is that chain. This is where the petal starts from. You're going to go into your next stitch and slip stitch, but you're only going to work into this loop over here, not the back one. So I'm just going to pull it out a little bit since it's so in. Then I'm going to insert my hook only through the front loop like that, and then I'm going to slip stitch. And now we're going to start our next petal. So once again, I'm going to chain 3, or chain however much you're doing, skip the first chain and start your petal from the second chain and the third. So slip stitch into the second chain from your hook, twist and pull, and then into the next chain. That is your petal. Now end the petal by going into the next stitch, but only the front loop. And then pull it through, slip stitch, start your next petal, and you're going to do this until you come back over here. And once you're done with the number of petals that you want, you're just going to make sure that you pull your magic ring really, really tight to get the petals to come up like that. And just chain 1, 2, and then cut your yarn. Oh, so this is a scrap flower for me, but if you're making these flowers, make sure that you leave a slightly longer tail so you can attach it the way that I'm going to show you in a little bit. But basically, I just cut it too short. You're just going to pull and tighten just like how you would normally fasten off. And then I just tied it at the back, and there is your cute little flower. You can add a pearl in the center, whatever else you like. So get your mug and then just position it, see how you would like your flower to sit. And then just hold your flower in place. Sorry. And you're gonna take your ends and you're gonna slide them through your coaster. So just pull your hook like that, and then take the end and pull it through. So maybe over here, and pull the end through like that, and then this is gonna hold your flower in place. And you're gonna go to the back and you're just going to tie a knot to secure everything in place. And tighten, make sure you double knot to make it extra secure, and then position your flower however you like, and there you go.